So just before I begin, for those who are listening, I want you to substitute the word tree for whole. Whenever you hear the word tree, put tree out and put whole in, because I can't say the sentence live on this. So this is my story about experiments. After 3 years of a break from pregnancies, my mother got broody again and decided she wanted baby number 4. I was the first girl after 3 stepping stone brothers. When I appeared, my older brothers, adventurous, mischievous brothers were 7, 5, and 3, up to no good, all other sorts of euphemisms for needing eyes in the back of your head. As a busy woman, Mummy held a professional job outside the home, as well as rearing 4 children, and still had dinner on the table every night in time. We could all read before we started school, and we were gathered around the kitchen table every day after school to do collective homework. But when it came to life beyond the uniform and the pencil cases, I was now the guinea pig, because I was effectively the new toy. When I was about 4, I absorbed everything like a sponge, including all sorts of adult sayings. At this time, mid-summers of 1980s, my parents decided to put on quite an extension, which took the entire summer of 85. And by now there was a younger brother and sister. They were too young to play with or antagonize, but the builders knew I was the one they could experiment on. As I say, I could have heard the grass growing, and boy, did they know it. Those summers were scorchers, and as they worked in our house, barely recognizable in its building site state in just their shorts, bare chests, without all their pockets and tradesmen's belts, they invariably misplaced tools all day, every day. They used to ask each other, where was the measuring tape, or have you got the spirit level, and wander about blaming someone else getting cranky with the heat. Anyone who's familiar with building sites and tradesmen will know the banter and antics on site, will know the air is rarely anything other than a shade of blue, and the profanity bleeping machine used on the television would very quickly run out of batteries. Like I said, I was a sponge. They asked me once, had I seen the hammer? And I shouted back up to them in their own expression, it's up my tree picking daisies. So I think I might have put my mother into labour, who was by now expecting baby number 6. And here was a little girl, aged 5, blonde pigtails, the picture of innocence, who helped her mother get the table ready for all these builders every lunchtime, shouting back their delightful words to them. I don't know how they didn't fall off the roof. There were a few other choice phrases, but that's the one that I'm reminded of the most often. Hi, Mum. With all this building work, there were a few exposed pipes with little kids looking into them, pretending they're telescopes or megaphones. And my brothers used to get me to look into the plumbing pipes, which were yet to be attached to sinks. Look closer, they'd say. I don't see anything, I'd reply. No, closer, closer. You'll see it once you put your eye right to the pipe. Trusting them, I'd edge my face closer until, as they promised, I'd see whatever was at the bottom. Of course, there was nothing at the bottom, but they had smeared the top of the pipe with boot polish. So then I'd descend to the living room to tell Mommy that there's nothing at the bottom of the pipe, and I was oblivious that I had a ring of black boot polish around my eye. Actual toys used batteries, and the days before toy manufacturers were environmentally friendly, the batteries would quickly run out. And they used to tell me the best way to check if the 9-volt battery, the little square ones, had any energy left, was to lick it. A thoroughly unpleasant taste, and not a feel-safe way to check if the batteries have any energy, I might add. It used to give me a face like a bulldog chewing a wasp. And another day, dressed in my Sunday best, I felt like a princess and refused to take off a new dress. I promised I wouldn't get it dirty. It was mint green satin with a white satin belt that tied in a big bow at the back and a matching Peter Pan collar. Mommy was sleeping after night duty. My older brothers and I were left to our own devices in the garage, where the coal and slack are kept. I genuinely don't remember what we were doing, but undoubtedly something we weren't supposed to be doing. I reappeared in the house a short time later. The older boys had the sense to change into their gear for the football and hide their dirty clothes in the laundry basket. I couldn't open the buttons at the back of my dress. My father spent the next hour or so trying to clean me up. I remember him standing me on the draining board at the kitchen sink in my dress as he tried to sponge out the coal dust. He tried it with just water. It didn't work. He used the dishcloth, but it still had grease on it from the roast chicken dinner. He then tried a tea towel dabbed with washing up liquid. But nothing worked. He wasn't the man who knew how to work a washing machine, let alone read a washing care instruction label. But you see, this wasn't any old dress that could be chucked in the machine for a quick cycle. It didn't have a made in China label. This was a formal dress belonging to my mother, which she had taken to a dressmaker to get made into a frock for me. To this day, I can still remember my whining words over and over of, I didn't mean it, Daddy, I didn't mean it. And even now, I'm in my 40s, my brothers still tease me in this voice whenever we're together. I don't know if my dad was scared of my mother's reaction to the dress or trying to explain why we were in the garage unsupervised. Regardless, all his experiments failed, and in the end, he had to confess to my mother when she got up from sleep. Now I have children of my own, I try my best to let them batter on with whatever they're doing. There are days when they go inside, but they won't go outside. But when they do, it warms my heart when they come in filthy. My husband and I are preparing to do some major replumbing works to our house, and I can't help but wondering if they will find some boot polish to experiment with.